Universities in the UK seem to have a problem with race.
We hate white people! White people are good!
But how big is the problem at British universities?
We got a lot of harassment, bullying.
I'm a University of Manchester
I'm recording
student.
it.
They're trying to snatch my car. You see, I take this racial profiling.
Despite students reporting racism, it seems like it's being ignored by universities.
This boy looked me dead in the eye and said, you know, the N-word.
And as a consequence, young people all over the country are suffering.
I started having really severe panic attacks.
It broke me.
So what should Britain's universities actually do to stop it? I'm about to find out. So are you saying that universities are institutionally racist?
Yes.
You're saying that they're racist?
Yes.
I'm Linda Adey, a journalist, and I first started looking into racism at Britain's unis when a huge story broke late last year and went viral on Twitter. It was at the University of Manchester. It's Friday, the 13th of November, 2020. 19-year-old first-year student Zach Aiden is on his way to his room at the University of Manchester. But after he enters the grounds of Owens Park Halls, he's stopped by uni security.
Give us your card. Give us your card. I record this. Record it.
I'm recording it.
Zach says it's because they thought he was a drug dealer.
You gotta pin me up against the wall.
The video went viral and made national headlines. But I want to find out more about the incident, and importantly, what the university did next. Zach has agreed to meet me in Manchester to talk to me about what happened.
There were 3 security guards, and they approached me directly. Are you a student here? I said, yes. Is there a problem? There's just been a lot of drug dealing going on campus at the moment. And I was just like, whoa. I just pulled out my ID and I showed the security guard that was talking to me. So I said, look, you can see my card very clearly here. That's me, that's my name. And then they said, no, give us your card, give us your card.
Give us your card then. Give us your card. This is your card. Give us your card.
They were like pin me up against the wall. They're like, give us your card over and over again.
Give us your card. I record this. Record it.
I'm recording it.
I'm a University of Manchester
I'm recording it.
They're trying to snatch my car. You see, I take this racial profiling. You might go for him. You came for me, blood. You came for me. Take my car. Read what it says. Read what it says. Read what it says. What does it say? What does it say? What's my name? Read it out loud. Read it out loud. Is that me? This guy. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man.
I was just trying to get home. My door was literally 10 meters from where the incident happened.
Oh, my God.
And excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. You're not wearing. Excuse me, sir. You're not wearing a mask.
I was just shocked. I just couldn't believe it. I didn't know what to do.
Wait for everyone.
I'm allowed. There's your wallet. You gotta pin me up against the wall.
They thought you was a drug dealer?
They said we've had a lot of drug dealing going on campus, and them saying, are you a student, and questioning and even mentioning that means, of course, they assumed that I was a drug dealer on campus. Yeah.
Have you ever dealt drugs?
No, I mean, would I travel 250 miles to a Russell Group institution to deal drugs? Yeah, no, never.
Zach wanted the university to take action that night and call their emergency hotlines to report the incident. He says they told him nothing could be done until Tuesday, 4 days later.
I was just looking for the university just to help me and just to resolve the issue as quick as possible and give me confidence that they were dealing with the issue, and just to reassure me that something like this wouldn't ever happen again.
Did you feel safe on campus after the incident?
Not at all. I couldn't even, no, not at all.
No. On Saturday, Zach found the email address for the uni's head of diversity.
I had to go out onto the website whilst not having slept. It's still in a state of shock.
Yeah.
Emailed them about everything that had happened, attached all the videos. He actually called me straight away and said, like, look, this is really serious, and I'm going to do everything I can in my power to try and escalate this to the necessary people.
But by Sunday, Zach hadn't heard back from the university and decided to let his friends post the video on social media. The video went viral, and the university posted a tweet saying they had spoken to Zach and had launched a full investigation.
I hadn't even spoken to anyone. I'd just been informed that they were going to deal with the issue, and that's literally it.
So you didn't know much about this
Nothing.
investigation?
I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything.
So did you find out about it from Twitter?
Yeah.
2 days later, a student approached another security guard on campus with her phone camera turned on and talked about the incident.
I think that's really racist.
What, to say that he looks...
Yeah.
What, how's that racist? He looks similar.
Similar?
Yeah.
How
on what grounds?
As in, he matched the description.
Matched the description?
Yes.
He was literally just standing outside his house.
Well,
Were you, like, previously given a description?
There's been a description. We have quite a lot of drug dealers going on here. We have to...
You could have whatever white girl was a drug dealer. Like, you're not slamming white girls against the wall.
I don't know of any white drug dealers. White female drug dealers.
When I saw that video, I wasn't surprised, and it kind of made sense as to why I was stopped, because it showed me that the security team had been given some sort of description to stop certain members of the university.
The media attention around the incident intensified, and Vice-Chancellor Nancy Rothwell went on BBC Newsnight.
I've apologised to the students for distress that he felt.
Have you apologised to the student in question?
Yes.
Personally?
No, I've written to him.
I had to watch that live, like the rest of the country.
How much of the investigation did you know at the point that she was doing that news?
I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything.
The next day, she issued a public apology on YouTube saying an email she'd written wasn't sent to Zach.
It really showed me that the university's reputation and how they portray themselves was way more important than the welfare and well-being of students.
The university suspended the security guards that pinned Zach against the wall, and the investigation is still ongoing. But it's not the first time problems like this have surfaced at British universities.
Back in knots.
Including at my former uni in Nottingham.
I can't believe I'm here again. This is so crazy.
I came to Nottingham University to study journalism and graduated in 2017.
My time at university was quite stressful. I found it harder than I thought it was going to be, weirdly.
Coming back to Nottingham has reminded me of how my race impacted my course.
One thing that I did notice is that the black students came up with the ideas that black people cared about. We ended up having a bit of a debate with this tutor because he was convinced that a Nottingham audience wouldn't care about this particular story. And I just couldn't understand. What he was saying to me is this story is black. In my head, he was saying this story is black and white people don't care about this.
Black and ethnic minority students have also experienced prejudice here, and it's even made national headlines.
The year after I graduated, I was really shocked to see this horrible video of racism from here went viral on social media. This black woman in her halls, and in the corridor outside, there's people racially harassing her, shouting, "We hate blacks, and white people are the best."
We hate white people. We hate people.
It's disgusting. I cannot imagine what it must have felt like to be trapped in your room and people on the other side of your door are shouting this type of abuse. It's quite heartbreaking to think about, actually.
The university suspended the students following an investigation, and one student pled guilty to racially aggravated harassment and was fined in court. I've asked some students of colour at universities across the UK to tell me what their experience on campus is.
Being a person of colour at my university kind of meant that I was the only one.
The boys who lived next door went to touch my hair.
First week, and a person said, "Hey, coloured guy."
When I was in the first year of university and I was walking along the street and a group of boys who I knew from a certain sports team started shouting "Mohammed, Mohammed" at me.
When I started to get discriminated for being who I am, especially by the white students and the staff members in the university, it gets really hard.
I would just be ignored. I feel like it's a microaggression because all the other students in that room were not POC or not black, and they were listened to and they were respected.
Are universities doing a good job of dealing with racism on campus? Natasha is a medical student and complained about a play put on by students at Cardiff University. In the run-up to the play, they released this attention-grabbing trailer.
Primarily, it'll be like the third-year students who write the script of the play, and they recruit people to take part in it. There was about 30 students who were like the actors of it.
To show you the nature of the offence in the play, we've recreated it using the original script. The play took place at a sports and social centre near the medical school. The main characters are parodies of lecturers and include a black lecturer who's played by a white actor wearing blackface. And in a photo from the show has a large black dildo hanging out of his pants. He's also portrayed as gay. In the play, the lecturers are going on a lad's holiday to Magaluf. In this scene, they're on a flight to Mallorca. At the beginning of the scene, the black lecturer is described as
walking very gingerly, as if he was smuggling several bags of drugs and a butt plug.
This is it. I finally have a chance to make a move. This whole long-haul flight to talk to that dark chocolate slab over there.
It's almost like this weird, like, fetishy sort of like, how many things can we put into this character to just rip him apart?
In the script, one character is described as
really racist.
And in one video shown purporting to be from the black lecturer's white adoptive parents, they say,
"We couldn't love him more if he was our genetic son. We just thank God every day that we managed to rescue him from the barbaric Hunger Games in South Africa."
They really tore him apart.
The universities say they're acutely aware of the significant impact the play had on the lecturer. Natasha and 7 other black students in her year decided to complain to the uni, but says it took them a while to respond.
They sent like a really bizarre, generic email out, and we were like, name it, you know? No one was like, this is a racist play, this is a sexist play, this is a homophobic play, and that's not okay. And then one time, we just get an email, and then this is like an all medical student, all staff email that's like, people have complained about a thing on the grounds of race, and I think it said people of African descent. And we were like, wow. There's only a certain number of us, right? So then we become visible, right? It's like, there's only 8 of us. People knew who we were. And that meant that we got a lot of harassment, bullying, because we were the African girls who'd complained about a racist play.
Cardiff University say they're not aware of the email. They have policies online which lay out what should happen when students complain.
You will be informed of any outcome which relates to your complaint.
But Natasha feels like she was frozen out of the process.
Yeah, we didn't know what was being said, who was asking the questions, what the results of that were, and that sort of like occurred outside of our jurisdiction. One of the things that perhaps was an outcome was that they had the option of writing apology letters. It was like you walk into a room, you eyeball it, and you walk back out of the room without taking the apology letters. And I was out of the country at the time, so I didn't get an opportunity to like physically go into like the place. And so I have yet to see the apology letters, and for years and years I've been asking the university if I can have a look. They say that because of data protection, I can't see the letters.
So you've never basically received your apology?
No.
Cardiff say they're
not aware of a subsequent request to view the apology letters and would be happy to make arrangements for this to take place under the same conditions.
But Natasha feels let down by the university's complaints process. She doesn't feel that justice has been served and is considering legal action against the uni.
But how many other students complain about racism to their universities? I've emailed all the public universities in the UK to get the numbers.
There are around 2.5 million students in higher education in the UK. Just under 500,000 are students of colour. 93 out of 140 universities have come back to me and given me the numbers for the 5 years between 2015 and 2019. The highest number of reported cases against students and staff over the 5-year period were at Cardiff with 24, Nottingham Trent with 25, and Essex with 52. But 11 universities that replied to us said they had no complaints of racism against students and staff over the 5 years. That's over 1 in 10, and includes universities like Dundee, Bolton, and Ulster.
When you look at those numbers, it feels really low, like there isn't a problem at all. But when I've been speaking to students, it sounds like there's a much bigger issue. Could it be that students are experiencing it but not complaining about it? And if so, why?
The Equality and Human Rights Commission have also looked into racism at universities. They heard from 850 students and also did a survey with a random sample of over 1,000 higher education students. Alistair Pringle is their executive director, and I want to see what they found.
So did your findings show that there is or isn't a problem with racism at universities?
In terms of students, was that a quarter had experienced racial harassment. That might have been violence, so violent attacks. It might have been name-calling, racist slurs, and 1 in 20 students left their studies as a result of this.
We put in freedom of information requests to every university in the UK, and the figures we got back were really low, almost as if it's not a problem. I wonder if that matches up to anything you found in your research.
More than 500 students had experienced, so that might be they'd seen stuff happening or experienced it themselves. 2/3 of those did not report the issue.
Wow.
So that in part answers your question. Universities don't have a full picture of the issue.
What is putting 2/3 of surveyed students off complaining?
I wouldn't say that I necessarily have the utmost confidence in the university tackling instances of racism.
I had an issue of racism. I did a formal investigation, and they basically just said, that's said, you move on.
I made suggestions on the complaint form about what I wanted to see happen, and I don't think any of that was really taken into consideration.
So it sounds like there are issues of how complaints are dealt with. I want to follow a disciplinary process happening now to see what the procedure is like. And I've heard of a case at one of the UK's most prestigious universities, Oxford. Gracie is a first-year history student at Christ Church College. She knew the man involved in the incident before she started at Oxford.
I've just known him for a very long time. I used to host my friends on these Instagram lives, and the boy asked to be on this live. He was talking very positively about the Black Lives Matter movement, talking very progressively. And I knew at this time that he was also going to Christchurch, Oxford as well.
Gracie and the man were with friends outside the Oxford Union, listening to music.
He's standing on a table dancing, and he asked me to put on, I was on music, because I have the best music taste, Hypnotised by Notorious B.I.G. And as soon as the N-word came up, I was standing in front of him, he looked me in the eye, and he said the word. Immediately I said, apologise, and he said, no, what are you going to do? Put me on your Instagram story.
The man denies directing the word at Gracie.
After a while, it must have been half an hour or something, the boy came back to me and said, you know, I'm remorseful for what I said.
Gracie says initially she didn't want to take it further.
I'd heard through friends who'd gone on to Christchurch that there was a student called Melanie who was also, you know, a black girl at Christchurch, and she'd gone through quite a horrible experience to the point where she'd had to take the year out and start again. And I thought, Christ, I don't want that to happen to me.
I've also been told about students who are concerned that complaining to their uni will affect their education.
There were a lot of students who were really concerned about kind of the impact on them if they reported the issue. So that kind of even almost kind of builds on top of their experience. It's the fear that if they report it, it'll impact on them, they'll be called troublemakers. They were really concerned about what their career prospects would be if they reported.
Christchurch sent an email about the incident to all students, asking for anyone with information to come forward. Both the man and Gracie contacted them.
It's hard to judge how the university have handled the situation, so it'd be really good to catch up with Gracie in a little while to see how it goes.
I've arranged to meet Melanie to find out what happened when she complained to Christchurch. A student made a joke about the death of George Floyd on a Zoom call about college rep roles.
I think the exact quote is, in the curious incident of George Floyd's death, which I found offensive because it was, for me, a clear comparison between Curious George and George Floyd. But even if it wasn't, the curious incidents of his death, even if it was a distasteful joke, you cannot make light of racism because people will continue to make these dark and distasteful jokes thinking that it's not a serious issue when it's the life that people live.
Colleges at Oxford are separate to the university, so Melanie complained to Christchurch, but she wasn't happy with the outcome of her complaint.
I just wanted an apology, but after our conversation, there was no apology. I went to the university. They then referred me back to the college.
So you've attempted to complain, you've gone to the college, you've gone to university and back again to the college. Once you've reached this dead end, what do you do next?
I decided to go public with the situation.
She says the day after she went public on Facebook, Christchurch sent a college-wide email which said,
maintaining the privacy and confidentiality of all parties involved is a legal obligation, and it would be inappropriate to comment publicly on ongoing investigations.
Melanie thinks this was directed at her.
The only person who had done that, like in recent times, had been me. In like literally the hours preceding the email. So it very much singled me out. And that then emboldened other students to come out and attack me.
In a post on the college's Facebook page, Melanie was told,
please stop trying to explain to white people their harmful views and behaviours. Please show some grace. You don't need to be the nobly self-sacrificing scapegoat.
Another student said,
The whole thing is just a massive festival of virtue signalling.
Melanie put the receipts on her Twitter, and this went viral.
All I'd asked for initially was an apology, and now things have completely been blown out of proportion.
What did the university do then?
So Christchurch started to take things a lot more seriously. They had their own internal investigation, which nobody knows the outcome of because they didn't publish the outcome or send the outcome to the students.
Did you ever get the apology?
Unfortunately, no.
Melanie says the abuse she received had serious effects on her mental health, which led her to take the rest of the year out.
I didn't know whether I was gonna get any physical attacks from people, from the messages that I'd received. I started having severe panic attacks, about 4 or 5 a day. Something that could have had such a quick and easy resolution, but blew out of proportion to cause these incredible impacts.
And Natasha says the way Cardiff University handled her complaint affected her mental health too, and eventually she had to leave.
I still had to figure out all of this complaint stuff. And so it was really taxing for me. I'd be sleeping an hour a night, lost so much weight. I think I went down 3 dress sizes and stuff. I would have panic attacks when I was in university. That's why I had to leave. Yeah, so it broke me. Yeah.
The survey also showed that universities think that they're dealing with this well, so they're kind of almost reporting an overconfidence in dealing with the issue, partly because the numbers are so low, because people aren't reporting.
His research confirms the chats I've had with students, and universities actually think they're doing really well, and he spoke about this sort of overconfidence that they had within themselves. How are they getting that impression? Because that's not what I'm hearing. So it's been 3 weeks since I last saw Gracie. She's just sent me a video message. She's just heard back from her college.
Hello, Linda. I just wanted to get back into contact with you. The boy's been taken to a disciplinary panel. I'm not privy to the decision which the disciplinary board made. I don't know whether any further disciplinary action is being taken and what form that might take. That has been kept confidential, even to me, even though I was a victim in this case. The accused know every detail. They also have the right to appeal the decision made on the case. I don't have that right.
The disciplinary process against the man is still ongoing, but just like Natasha and Melanie, Gracie's been told she won't hear the outcome of the proceedings. And this is a similar story I'm hearing from students across the country.
I was told that soon after that I might not hear about the actual outcome of the complaint because of privacy reasons.
Often things like data protection regulations are used as an excuse. People feel that it's used as an excuse not to share information. Now, if you are someone who complains about something, you should be told what's happening.
But are universities taking action against students accused of racism?
The universities I emailed also sent me through some disciplinary data.
The universities that disciplined the largest number of students and staff were Edge Hill with 13, Essex with 18, and Chester with 21. In the 5 years between 2015 and 2019, there were 373 instances of disciplinary action for racist behaviour. That ranges from a warning all the way to expulsion. But from what students have said, there are serious issues with the way universities deal with complaints. The unis processes have had a huge toll on the mental health of some students, and after going through the complaint system, it seems like students aren't being told of the outcome. I want to see what the unis have to say about this. Universities UK represent 140 universities across the country, including the ones featured so far. Last year, they established a group on racial harassment, and I'm meeting the UEA Vice-Chancellor, Professor David Richardson, who leads the group.
What do you think is the experience of black and sort of other ethnic minority students in the UK at university?
There's mixed experiences, but many aren't good. There's a lot of evidence that points towards universities perpetuating systemic racism, being institutionally racist. And I actually have acknowledged that on behalf of the sector.
Sorry, can I just, are you saying that universities are institutionally racist?
Yes.
You're saying that they're racist?
Yes.
Okay, that's huge.
Institutional racism is when there are systemic issues that are impacting disproportionately on particular members of your community,
right,
which need to be dismantled. And it's clear that there are.
What do you think about the complaints process at universities when it comes to reporting racial harassment?
I think that the reporting of racial harassment in universities is underreported. I think that historically, students who have experienced racial harassment have not felt able to report it or felt safe to report it for various reasons.
There is a view that universities are sort of downplaying the level of racism at institutions across the country. Do you get that? Is there any truth in that at all?
I understand where the view comes from. I'm not playing it down in the slightest. Perhaps governing bodies were concerned about the reputational impact of the university being seen to be a place that was, institutionally racist. I think 5 years ago, leaders, universities would not have called this problem out.
Lots of students are telling me that their universities won't let them know the outcome of their complaints. And I just think that's really strange. Like, is there any truth in that? Why is that?
There will be truth in that. There are issues around every individual's right for data protection, and you need to be very careful about disclosure of outcomes. I've chaired 2 meetings to actually develop guidance for the sector that keeps us the right side of the law.
What I've heard is that they feel like it might impact their grades, their course, their career after uni.
That's disappointing, and if that's how the students feel, then we need to acknowledge that and put in place better support to make them feel safe and to help them be reassured that this will not damage their grades at all.
David's group published guidance and recommendations for unis in November last year, and he's confident this will improve the experience of black and ethnic minority students.
Summer 2022 is when we're going to do the full evaluation, and we do need to give it some time for universities to put this into their infrastructure.
Yeah, so I need to sort of check back in with you in a year's time.
You do, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really will. I'd be keen to find out. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you.
In one sense, I was kind of impressed with him, but I came back to my senses almost, and I was just like, but I've heard this before. And I guess the question is this going to be different from all the other times that we've heard this before?
We put the points raised in this film to each of the universities. Manchester said,
"We condemn all forms of racism and discrimination. We can't comment on the allegations because of ongoing processes. But since the incident, Zach has met with senior leaders at the university. We have put together a robust action plan which addresses these issues."
A Cardiff University spokesperson said,
"We deeply regret the student-led play and took immediate action to suspend those involved. Students were kept informed of the action taken within the constraints of data protection laws. Issues of racism raised by the event are taken extremely seriously, and the recommendations of an independent report commissioned by the Vice-Chancellor have been accepted in full."
In a statement, Christchurch College said it is
wholly committed to confronting racial bias, harassment and discrimination in any form. In each of the cases referred to, full and proper investigations were carried out in line with our policies and independent legal advice. Welfare support was offered in each case right from the start.
It's clear that racism is an issue students are facing now. But what can students do about it?
Keep a log of what incidents have happened. You know, if someone has sent you messages or you've seen posts, take screenshots.
What I find really useful to understand is that universities are businesses, which means that they're really interested in the public appearance and what they look like to other people.
Speak up, contact the most senior people at your universities, make as much noise as you can about it and don't stop.
They can use student papers or national papers to really get their voices heard on these issues.
Having a conversation in a public space sort of draws attention to the institution, and that will make them want to do something about it.